the last week before the championship, I hate quizzes. And I hate quizzing.
Well, welcome back to All Things Quiz, Ronny Swiggers.
Hello, Gareth. How are you?
I'm great, but perhaps not as great as you are. You have had a fantastic last 12 months, winning the Ultimate Quizzing Championships, then winning the World Quizzing Championships. You are on fire. You winning the second World Championships. You are only the fourth person to have won the World Championships more than once. Did it feel any different this time?
Yes, a little bit, yeah. The first time it was a complete surprise. I thought I would never win it after I lost it very nearly more than 10 years ago. Yeah, it's always very, you're very happy if you win it, but it was a little bit different from the first time.
Yeah. Did you find it? I found it really hard this time round. And I noticed your score was 71% of the potential score. In 2022, it's 76. The year you won it last, your full score would have been 77%. Did you find you had to work harder to get the points this time
out? It was harder, tougher, but that suits me. I prefer the more difficult quizzes compared with more easy quizzes. In international quizzes, you don't have easy quizzes, but you have some that are less difficult than other ones.
Yeah, I mean, this was a tough one. And we heard previously when we chatted that you have this big database that you put lots of questions into, and then you're kind of constantly going back to it, dipping in and out, etc. That was 2 years ago when we talked about that. Yeah. Do you do anything differently now than you did back then?
No, I started doing things different when Corona got up. Just at that time, it had nothing to do with Corona, but 2 weeks before this, we got isolated. I found something new to introduce in my training, and I said, that's it. That's how I have to do it. And then 2 weeks later, Corona started, everybody at home. And I continued now for 3 years now to train the same way. That means that apart from going to the database, question 1, question 2, question 3, and so on, I also every day do something more thematic. I say, what is everything that I know about Robert De Niro or about St. Kitts and Nevis? And I look in my database, all the questions or answers that have that word or subject, and I just looked at its complete. And so, apart from where in the past I only looked at the trees, now I look also at forest, if I may say it, and that helps.
Yeah, that is an interesting change from how you used to do it before. Because I, did say, would you, do a specific subject or whatever? But clearly, I guess when you're going for the World Championships and you know that there is going to be a lot of content that is, is not from participating nations. It's going to be quite niche. If you've already got it in your database, you just want to bring it forward into your memory at the right time.
Yes, it's an everyday training that I do it. So I started training now for Torremolinos for the quiz challenge, or I don't know how it's now called. That's a European Championship, and I will go to until from here to November. I will go to the same routine every day. But I do not look particularly at some subjects. It's in the database, and I rehearse just like that.
Were there any examples of that kind of focused revision or kind of memory jogging that came up in the quiz where you thought, actually, I'm really glad I looked at St. Kitts and Nevis because I might not have remembered that thing?
No, I don't know it because it's, but I did a count, and I think about 2/3 of the questions had something in the database that enables me to, or should have enabled me to find the right answer. I know I didn't always manage to do it, but about 2/3 it was covered.
And that's really quite impressive because, say, you got 71% of the 240 questions correct. So if 2/3 of the questions are in your database, you're hitting everything you should have been getting right.
Not exactly. not exactly. No. I missed about, I think, 11 questions that I say I should have had it. No, that's not the case, because you don't have the exact same information. But 11 questions, one day I could have them, and during the championship, I didn't have it. At the others, but at the same time, there are maybe 30 questions that I had right that I also could have missed because I was not really sure about it. So, and there are a few dozen questions that were not references anywhere, but I knew it because, for different reasons.
Yeah, because you pick up information anyway that you might not put in your database, but that's still good. When you're faced with a question that you know you should know, how do you go about trying to get it from your brain and onto your piece of paper?
The first thing is, if I see a question that I should know and do not know immediately, I just skip it. I leave it blank and I come back. I know I need about half an hour to go to a set of 120 questions. And then I start again if I'm not really sure. And a lot of these blanks, so I have to fill in. They come up then pretty quickly. So, and then there are questions that you don't know. So don't lose time in questions that you do not know. Or put something. It's useless to think about 2 minutes about a question where you have no clue at all.
Yeah.
Just put I don't know, Smith, Jones. I had once a Smith correct. They asked for a singer. I put Smith. It was correct. And then yes, it's the memory that has to work. But I do not use tricks. I have not a trick or to find something that is no.
Interesting. So you talked about sort of the 11 questions that you missed. Was that just simply not being able to recall them in time, or were they kind of very much on the edge of your database kind of things?
Of the 11, 10 or where there's a small piece of information in the question, but so I say, maybe I could have that right because it's also in the database. I do not know by heart, but there was only one very, very bad mistake. It was the Sierra Nevada question.
Right.
Because I was 6 months ago, I was in front of Mulas and on holidays. But I don't worry about that anymore. You should not worry about the question you miss. Everybody misses questions, and otherwise the fun part of quizzing goes away.
And do you still find it as fun? You know, now you're right at the top of the tree and have been for certainly the last 2 years, but you've always been near the top. Do you still find it as much fun when actually you could start feeling the pressure taking the fun away?
Yeah, but the fun, the training is the fun. If you don't like the training, just stop it. I stop with it. The quiz itself, so that 2 hours is not fun. It's working. It's, well, let's say when Mo Farah was winning all his medals, I don't think he was having fun while winning them. He was maybe, I hope for him, having fun when he was training. Probably he was happy afterwards, but not during the exercise. It's work then. And the last week before the championship, I hate quizzes. And I hate quizzing. That's
we talked a little bit about the ones you didn't get, but in terms of the questions you did get right, were there any that particularly pleased you that you thought, you know, that's a real reward for the work you put in, or a really good piece of logic to come to an answer?
Well, I do not recall a lot of questions. That's also something with me. After the quiz, I do not remember one single question. It only comes up later on. But there is one question. It was the sculpture of the Nefertiti statue, because I only learned that 2 weeks before the World Championship. So it means that even I'm quite comfortable about my database. There's still room to improve it. So that's also a motivation to keep on doing the work.
Yeah. It's interesting you talked about sort of the Mo Farah thing and so that kind of equivalency of being in the heat of the contest. I keep wondering how players like yourself, the very best players, get your mind in the right place in that sort of hour before the quiz starts. Do you do anything to kind of, control your environment, prepare yourself, get your brain in the right gear to then answer the questions?
No, not at all. I just try not to think about quizzing. That's the thing. Have a talk with people about something else. What I do not want to do is asking questions. What is that? What is that? And do you know that? And that I do not want to get nervous. So
in a way,
special.
So in a way, the thing that you do is actually to take quiz out of your mind.
Yeah.
So that you are perhaps more relaxed going into it.
Yes, and the week before the championship is the week that I train the least. Yeah, maybe I do half of what I do normally then, and I do not rehearse my database, not anymore. It's gone. I try to look at some more recent things, but not with the same intensity. I have to go and to come really relaxed.
Yeah.
In the tournament.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting and very important point. I guess if you want your brain to be able to go in all sorts of different directions and piece things together, you don't want to place extra stress on it.
Probably, but that's my case.
Yeah.
People, not everybody is the same. So
yeah.
Other quizzes will do it another way that will also be successful. Everybody has to find his way. That suits him best.
That's very true in everything related to quiz. Everybody has the method that works for them. Yes. But it's interesting to hear what works for you, because there will be other people who think, oh, well, I've not tried that, and might, do something differently as a result.
But doing not too much the week before is only valid if the week before that week you walk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can only ease down if you've eased up previously. So one of the things I noticed many years ago, I hate to think how many now, I went to one of the quizzes in Leuven, the big team quiz competitions that get held.
Clockwork quiz,
Yeah, clockwork. And it was really, really enjoyable, but very challenging in a way that you don't get in British quizzing. Our British quizzing will tend to be like University Challenge, that quiz bowl side of things, if it's at that level of difficulty. But it was very, very hard, but also there was an awful lot to learn, I found, from the questions, because there's a lot of detail in them. So even if you didn't know, you think, okay, that's really interesting, store that away in my head. Do you think, well, firstly, is that typical of the Belgian quiz culture?
Yes and no. Typical is that in Belgium, the quizzes are always team quizzes for 4 or 5 players. There's only one individual quiz in Belgium. The quiz that you played, it's really the top level. That's the level, about 10 to 20 of the most difficult quizzes that we have in Belgium. But that's only the top of the iceberg. The majority of the quizzes, it are local quizzes organized by schools, by sports teams to make some money, and they are really at a lower level, easy on popular teams. Also, what I call church tower questions, so it's all local questions, something that I do not know anything about, and that's the majority of the quizzes. Of the quizzes I play, let's say I play, let's say 70 quizzes a year. Only 10 will be of that difficult, hardly 10, and then about 20 to 30 will be of something in between, and then more than half of the quizzes are really easy quizzes.
But it's interesting, because I did a quick look, and 17, I think, out of the top 100 players in the World Championships were Belgian this year, which is a very, very good strike rate. And so I was just thinking, how do you get that good if you don't have a culture of people playing that sort of difficulty of question? Which took me back to Leuven, thinking, well, if I wanted to get that good, I would be playing playing those questions quite a lot. I mean, when you look at Tom Troch, he's been up there for a long time as well.
Yeah.
Nico Patti, you know, lots of big names. But then there are lots of people coming through, names that I don't recognize. So it seems a very healthy quiz culture.
Yes, but what we have in Belgium is we have a quiz site which is called Quiz Archives, where there are a lot of quizzes, all type of quizzes, online quizzes, and especially what we can call the Anki generation. That's the people, the new guys that you are mentioning. They have been very active and are still very active on that side, and they all have their Anki, and there's a generation of younger players that are really training now, and that are now focused on that international quizzes or the international subjects more than the local subjects. So it's not a surprise.
Okay, we've got a question from Yi. He's one of our Patreon members in China. It says, have you ever believed that the power map of world quizzing has shifted? In other words, it says the correct rate for long-time champions like Pat Gibson, Kevin Ashman has dropped recently. I mean, there is a new generation coming through, isn't there? Evan Lynch came third this time. Do you think there is starting to be a shift, this COVID generation coming through?
Well, it's an evolution, not a shift, and I will not write off Pat Gibson or Kevin or Olaf. They are still there, and they will surely all still win major competitions. I think that Pat Gibson is, together with Victoria, is winning all online quizzes. I think I'm not following in detail. But new nations have entered compared with 10 years ago. United States, I think they have a lot of people also in the top 50. More than a number of years ago. There was somebody of Austria now in the top 10. So it's not that the old guys like myself are not there anymore, but it's that new people are coming in.
Which again is really healthy for quizzing, that it's new people coming in, challenging, pushing. We've seen, Pat Gibson, as you say, is still playing every competition that he possibly can. He plays in Asia, the Asian Quiz League, and he's playing Bundesliga, and he's playing all these things. I know you've been playing different competitions. I think it's just, the competition is fiercer now, perhaps, than it ever has been.
Yes, and also the content is changing. You see that the quiz setters want to have a more modern quiz than 10 years ago. Questions about games, computer games, manga. If you would look at the questions 10 to 15 years ago, don't think you would find a lot of them in the quiz. So there is new, more modern content injected in the quizzes. Maybe that also affects the results a little bit.
And it's one thing, absolutely understanding the classic curriculum, the history, the mythology, and all that sort of stuff. That doesn't change. The physics doesn't change once you've learnt it, but things like sport and popular culture, and as you say, things like gaming and what huge new subject areas, which if you want to win in an age when the World Championships now doesn't allow you to drop a genre, you've got to be working on all this stuff. So presumably you've had to think, okay, I've got to understand the world of manga and anime and computer games.
Yes, indeed. I have never played 1 minute of a video game, not 1 minute in my life. I never have read one letter of manga, but still I get about 50% of the questions right, normally more. This year, because media was very, very tough, I think, and entertainment also, I don't think I got 50% on these subjects. But I take my points on that. I cannot afford to lose all the points on these subjects.
So it's an ever-changing world. Given what you've achieved so far, and say looking quite a long way back, you won the European Championships. You've always been near the top of the World Championships. Now you're a double world champion. You're the ultimate quizzing champion. We've got the the international quizzing championships coming up in November. Given all you've achieved, do you still have that same hunger to keep doing the work and to keep going?
Well, I already start for the European Championship, but as I said today, I don't like preparation anymore. I will look for something else. I do not know what, but it's still there. Also there are things that are more important than quizzing. So, for example, Didier Bruyere was not participating there. I hope it was not for his health reasons. I hope, but I do not know. I don't have the information. But then there are things that are more that come before quizzing, and that don't forget this also.
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember that this is we call it a sport, it's a pastime, it's a hobby, it is still something we do for enjoyment. And there are more important things in life, whether it's your own mental health or your physical health or that of your friends and family. All of those are very, very important.
Yeah, as long as it's a luxury, or that quizzing is for me the most important maybe in my life at this moment. It's a luxury situation.
How do you judge success? Is it winning things, or is it I got everything I should have got right? Do you have that kind of sort of clarity on how you personally consider success in any given quiz?
For me, success is the percentage of the questions that I should have right that I had right. That's a success for me. And like I say, if here it was rather good, but not top. I played sometimes better, but for me that's the only thing that I can do, that I get the questions right that I should have right. Because I do not control the questions that are set. So if I didn't make any mistake, now only one big mistake, but if I do not make any mistake, for me that's a perfect quiz, and I might be not in the top 20, but that's it. I know that during a European Championship, I was the second before the last round in the individual, and I finished 25th because the last 20 questions I didn't know them, but I didn't make any mistake in that either. So that's it.
So Ronny, it's been absolutely delightful to talk to you again. Congratulations once more, World Champion 2023. I will be seeing you in Torremolinos, so hopefully we'll be able to have a catch up and a chat there as well. But best of luck in your preparations, both for the International Quizzing Championships and defending your world title, if you choose to do so, next year. Thanks so much for coming on.
It's my pleasure, and I see you in Torremolinos. Thank you.
For more interviews with leading quizzers, check out the videos popping up on your screen right now.